Good morning. Welcome back to Money Talks. I'm Jonathan Thomas, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. I'm going to discuss with you how I got to an 800 score. But first, if this is your first time joining in, please subscribe. And if you like the content, please put a thumbs up or click that thumbs up just to let me know that you like this content and we can do more of it. Also, if you're watching live right now, please feel free to comment and ask any questions while I'm here. So, as we go on, I got 5 things to help you understand how I got to a 800 credit score, and then also how I help others get to an 800 credit score. Number one, because we're not going to hesitate, we're going to dive right in. Number one, pay your bills on time. Now, this can seem like a relatively simple thing, but oftentimes paying late or paying after the due date can really stop your progress from a credit perspective. Credit can actually monitor different things like your income and also your regular electricity bill, rent payment, phone bill, all those different things on an indirect way on your credit report. So paying your bills on time really helps start that engine and lay that foundation. Additionally, if you're paying your bills on time, that means you won't typically fall into collections or you won't have late or missed payments. And that's really, really key when you think about trying to build your score and get it as high as possible, but going towards that 800. 800 credit score people typically do not have collections or active collections or late payments. And so you need that section very, very clear and clean to allow your score to calculate that far. Second, you want to establish a student loan payment. Establishing a student loan payment first takes that hit of deferment off of your credit report. Deferment, forbearance, all those different things. Yes, you will take a credit hit for those statuses. So establishing a student loan payment really gets you to the point where you can have positive payment history. Now, the good thing about what's going on as far as the student debt and how large it is there are several different payment programs to where you can get one that fits your particular need and fits your particular budget so that you're not swamped or overwhelmed by that actual debt. Yes, we want to get rid of that student loan debt eventually, but we also want to be cognizant that sometimes you just have to stop the bleed. You have to stop that it's continually hitting your credit report negatively and preventing you from making that financial progress on your credit report. Number 3, this was a very, very interesting concept that I learned as I was growing my credit score. You need to have your credit limits at or between 13,000 to 15,000. Well, what does that mean? Well, personally speaking, I only have one credit card. But if you have multiple credit cards, you need to make sure that all the limits, when you add them up, add up to between 13 to 15,000. That seems to be the sweet spot that I found from working with several different clients. And when I've had a brief history of underwriting loans, that seemed to be consistent along the road. Number 4, this kind of goes with the previous concept of your credit card. You want to make sure that you pay your credit card in full every month. So that goes back to paying your bills. But I know there's a lot of different information about, hey, you want to keep that utilization below 30%. Or really optimally, you want to make sure you have something or that utilization between 0 and 7%. Well, the fact of the matter is, people who have 800 credit scores typically or most optimally do not carry a credit card balance. So as someone who does have an 800, myself, my wife, friends that I know, people I've worked with, that is not actually true. You don't have to actually carry a credit card balance. You should use it and pay it off in full every month. And just because you use it doesn't mean you have to wait to the due date to actually pay. Go ahead and pay that on time. Early is often better than on time. Then lastly, you want to make sure you have at least 2 years of auto payment history in your behavior or in your history. Why? Because that seems to be the sweet spot when you're getting ready to borrow for an auto loan, but also just based off the experience and the mix. Now, when you look at all these different tips, one thing is consistent. You have a mix of credit, meaning you have a student loan payment, you have a car loan payment, you might have a history of credit card payments. That is essentially a good thing in the eyes of the credit score building algorithm. You have to have a mix of debt. Now, you don't have to keep the debt, but you should in your history have a mix of debt. The other thing is, most common myth that I've heard is, hey, you need to have a house payment. Well, you don't actually need to have a house payment. And quite frankly, one thing that probably substitutes for that house payment is your student loan. Do you have to have 150,000 in student loans or 100,000? Not necessarily, but just the fact that you established a payment for that student loan will compensate for the fact that you don't have a mortgage payment. So you don't have to run out and get a mortgage payment or feel that you have to get a mortgage payment just to get you to an 800. And then lastly, really think about the fact of what an 800 does for you. Personally speaking, and just from experience, if you have a 750 or higher, you're getting the same rates and privileges as an 800. When I look at having an 800 credit score, the only benefit I personally see is, yes, I will be able to pay a lower rate, but then I also will have a more streamlined process when applying for loans, meaning they won't require as much documentation in the form of income or history or validity in that respect. That makes it easier to apply for a loan. So having an 800 credit score does ultimately affect a lot of different things, but having a 750 really is no different from a rate perspective or from the streamline process. At the end of the day, you don't have to keep debt just to get a 800 credit score. I hope you like this video. And again, I can't wait to talk to you again next time on Money Talks.